there was a valley, and there was this rock. You can see it. This rock that was going like a little bit steepy up like this. And when you can see from here, it was like the plane or the nose of the plane just hit the rock like this, and it came down into the ditch. On the 5th of June 2018, a Cessna C208 plane belonging to FlySax company crashed in the Aberdare Ranges. Aboard the plane were 8 passengers and a 2-member crew. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of the ill-fated plane, how it crashed, why it crashed, and how the wreckage was discovered.
Hali ya anga ilikuwa imevurugika sana ikizingatiwa kwamba ukungu ulikuwa umeshuka.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kenyan Historian. My name is Enoch Sikolia. Now, we've been coming to you from different localities. We've been in Magadi, in Kajiado County. We've been in Karen, Nairobi County. We have been in different places across the country, and we've just started doing our documentaries and videos from different localities so that we can bring everyone on board. Now, today we are coming to you from Murang'a County, the county of hills and valleys. As you can see behind me, those are hills. From one hill, there is a valley and a hill. One hill, a valley, and another hill. That is why it's a land of hills and valleys. And rivers. Actually, if I can tell you, Murang'a County is, or the landscape here is punctuated with rivers. A river here, a river there, a river there. And most of them emanate from the Aberdare Ranges. And we are going to talk about the story of the Aberdare Ranges and the ill-fated plane. So this river here is coming from the Aberdare Ranges. This river is called River Maragua. Now let's go to the story of the day. And let's look at these pictures here. This picture here, this is me. I'm about 3,600 feet above sea level, the Elephant Hill Peak on the Aberdares. As you can see behind me is the ill-fated plane that we are going to talk about in today's episode. And this one here is Moses Mwakisha. Now Mwakisha was the cameraman assigned to me for the assignment when we were going to the Aberdare Ranges to locate and tell the story of the crash that happened on the 5th of June 2018. But let me rewind or take you back a little bit. How many hours? 5th to 4th? Let me say it's about 24 hours earlier. I had just joined Citizen TV from NTV. I had crossed from NTV, which is owned by the Nation Media Group, to Citizen TV, owned by Royal Media Group. That evening, an accident happened in the Aberdares, a plane crash that led to the death of 10 people aboard. The plane crashed at 5 p.m., but most media houses landed later. So when we were headed home, that was, I think, after 9 p.m. So around 10, so I was headed home is when I was headed home is when I received a call from my boss, and she was like, we are assigning you to go and cover the story of a plane crash in the Aberdare Ranges. At that time, we don't know exactly. No one knows where the plane had crashed. Even the authorities were not sure where the plane had crashed, because the only information that was there was that the plane had disappeared from the radar. So once it disappeared from the radar, the people and the authorities, the aviation authorities, did not tell exactly where the plane had crashed. So in the morning, we wake up and we congregate at Citizen TV at the Royal Media Services, the Communication Center in Kilimani. So me and Moses Mwakisha and our driver, we start our journey. You know, Citizen TV had deployed 2 teams. There was Hassan Mugambi and his crew, and myself with Moses Mwakisha and our driver. So we were the first team to be deployed, and off we left. So you see, you go up to flyover, we turn. Even as we are going, I'm filled with a lot of questions and anxiety and whatever, because I had never experienced a plane crash or an accident of such magnitude. Yes, there have been plane crashes in the country and everything like that, but I had never covered one. So it was like my first assignment going on such a sad story. I had covered road accidents and everything like that, but it was the first time I was going to cover a plane crash. So my mind was like, what are we going to expect? So we reach there, we do some stories, talk to, they had sent the authorities from the police, Kenya Red Cross, and the recovery team had set up a center where information was being channeled. We go there, we talk to people, we are trying to look for information. The information that was there was scanty. We just knew that the plane was coming from Kitale and headed to Nairobi. Because it was to land at Wilson, and because when it was headed to Wilson, it was rerouted to take the second route. You know, when you are landing in Nairobi, there are 2 routes, the Ngong Hills route and the Ruiru route. The Ruiru route is where you go through the Aberdares, come to Ruiru, Utawala, and then land mostly at runway 24. So you come in through that route. And then there is the Ngong route, which is usually the safest because the terrain is usually good for any plane. When you look at it, they are not high hills and everything like that, and the weather is usually better as compared to the Aberdare Ranges and all those areas, because and then that is why it's termed as the safest landing route for planes coming into Nairobi. So at that particular time it was rerouted, and that is the information that we had at that particular time, and we were going live telling stories of what had happened and everything like that. So I remember Moses Mwakisha and I and Robert Masai of Radio Citizen then, still of Radio Citizen, and we were like, you know what, can we try and see where the wreckage is? And I remember some residents had our conversations, and they came and said, you know what, we can take you. We had the bang and we know exactly where the wreckage is. And we were like, you know what, there is nothing much to lose. Let's go. And we started, you can see here with some residents we were planning, each one of them was asking, where did you hear, and everything like that. And we decided, like, you know what, let's go. And tukaanza blah blah blah, tukaingia. I remember tukapita kwa mashamba. You see the Aberdares, there is the I don't know if it's called the shamba system or what, where just along the fences of the Aberdares, the people who live around there, they are allowed to do farming in the forest. As they cultivate the forest, they plant trees and everything like that. So it is a way of ensuring that people do not cut trees inside the forest. So they are allowed to do farming around the forest in a certain part of the forest while they plant trees. So it is what we call a win-win situation for the people. So we crossed there, we enter forest, and it was thick we were trying, and if you can see here Masai trying to clear the route for us. Anafyeka tu, anafyeka. Mwendo wa saa 8 adhuhuri na wenyeji wa eneo la Njambini wakaamua kuzama ndani ya msitu huu kusaidia maafisa wa usalama katika juhudi za kutafuta ndege iliyoanguka humu mwendo wa saa 11 hiyo jana. Nasi kama wanahabari hatukusita, tukajiunga nao guu kwa guu. And every time we move, there is this guy here. He keeps us telling us, tunakaribia tu. Tunakaribia. And by the time it was hitting 5, we are still in the thick of things. We don't know where we are and everything like that. Only these guys from Njambini. Okay, the area is called Njambini, where we are coming from, where we had assembled, is Njambini in Nyandarua County. So they are the only guys who know the forest. And I, Mwakisha and Masai, we are just trusting these guys, and because at the end of it all, we wanted to show the people where the plane had crashed. And this is where it had crashed. Look at these videos. This is where it had crashed. The Elephant Hill. And where we are is totally a different direction. I think we were in the opposite direction. Afisa wa polisi wanasema kwamba huenda ndege hiyo ilianguka katika umbali kutoka eneo la Ndakaini hadi eneo hili la Aberdare. Kumbuka ni msitu ambao unachukua eneo kubwa sana katika kaunti hii ya Nyandarua, lakini hatujakoma, tunaingia ndani. But we were so much believing in these guys, and we were like, you know what, because the authorities had not given us anything. The information was scanty. We didn't know what was happening. They were just there telling us, oh, the search team, and we are seeing helicopters. You can see, we are seeing helicopters moving around, maneuvering around. When we ask, there is no information. They also don't know. And now residents have told us they know, they have a clear, wanajua mahali. Tukasema, tusonge na nyinyi. Tukafika mahali tu, I think mimi nikaambia Masai, hii haitupeleki mahali. Kama yes, walisikia mlio. They had, the reason why they were sure, they had a loud bang, poof, and they saw a flame. That is what they told us. They saw a flame. So to them, the flame and the bang was just close to where they were. That is why they were sure that where they were headed and where we were headed is exactly where the wreckage was. And we trusted them. But at that point, I remember I was tired and everything like that. You know, I told them, mimi na Rudi. Kama jimu nataka kuendelea, endeleeni. Me, I'm tired. Tukarudi. And by the way, it's 5 p.m. So I'm already also thinking about, at the end of it, we must tell a story. Because that day, that day, we were the only crew that had arrived on the site. I think Hassan Mugambi had been deployed, but mostly he was doing stories in Nairobi. I remember he had gone to interview investigators on what they found out, on what they think had happened. So as we were on the ground with these guys here, but that day we missing. So we told the story of our hustle to try and find the wreckage. And we went back, we went to sleep in Naivasha. Karudi kulala Naivasha, tumechoka. Okay, lakini tulifanya story kwanza. Hii story, both 7 and 9 p.m. to execute. And then we said, wacha tuende tulale, tumechoka. Tukaenda Naivasha tukalala. Sasa unajua unalala mpaka mwili haujisikii, umelala. Ile I think the only thing nilisikia ni simu inalia. Nashika pa. Hey, my boss. Kuangalia light imejaa kwa nyumba. Kumbe ni asubuhi. Asubuhi imefika, asubuhi imeshafika bwana, jamaa bado tunalala. Nikashika, "Hello." Mko wapi nyinyi? Tunasema tuko nini? Ngambia tuko Naivasha. Mnafanya nini Naivasha? All media houses are live. Kwa TV ya Ruvu hivi. Anyway, naona NTV wako live, sijui nini wako live. I think Masai or something, the guy who was with the disaster management team. So he was already announcing that they had found where the location of the wreckage. Hey. Sasa sisi hatuna hiyo breaking news. Tuko na Naivasha ndio bado tukaamuka bafu, kila mtu nikaamusha wakina Moses. Twende bwana, twende. Tukaingia kwa barabara. Then tukifika barabarani, you see there's a junction kwa kuingia Njambini sasa. Njambini mahali kulikuwa na pressa where they had set the communication center. Sisi Roy kaniambia tuendelee tu. Tuende msitu. Kama hiyo tukifika watakuwa wamemaliza press conference. Nikaangalia hivi, by the way, others had done the press conference, wamerudi studios, they are still discussing about the rescue mission na vitu kama hiyo. Sisi tukapasua. You know, wanasemaka when God is in your corner, he stays there, he doesn't leave. So tukasonga tu mbele, tukapiga kona pa. Nani hao? Hapa ona hii picha.
Wewe sikiza, hatuendi na watu wote. Ita-identify watu wenye tunaenda na wao na watu wa media only. Wale watu wengine mtabaki, kama kuna route nyingine mtapitia, it's your own.
Wanajeshi wanajipanga magwanda. Nikasema nikaambia Mwagisha, hii ndio inaitwanga recovery. Toa live view. Nilikuwa nimetoka na live view is the machine ya kwenda live. Ka box, ka small machine hivi, lakini kana peperusha mbaya sana. Kanatumia internet. No one had caught the rescue team in action. And now we have guys wanavaa wanajeshi. Actually this was wanajeshi. Wakavaa nini, tuko live, tukapiga nini. Sasa unajua this was a two like mawe moja ya kuua ndege mbili. They were going, sisi hatujui tulikuwa tunaenda wapi. Tulikuwa tunaenda tutafute mahali. Na tumepata watu ndio hawa wenye wanaenda huko. Na ni wanajeshi, tukojua lazima wafike. Nao. Tukaenda ona venye tuko tunapita kwa hizi kwa in Kiluya wanasemanga kewa. Huyu jamaa wetu ndio huyu. Swamp areas. Unaona venye tunapita kwa swamp. Tulipita place my friend hata hey, but that place is heavenly. That's what I can tell you. Heavenly. Yani maji tu unaona springs, everything and like that. Yani you will want to live there. Lakini kuna shida moja. Baridi. It's cold. Wanasemanga it's ice cold. So tukafuatana wanajeshi tukaanza kwenda. Lakini one rule ni kwamba mtu hangekuacha. A few meters, akisonga tu a few meters ahead of you, amepotea kwa hiyo kitu unaitanga mist ama ndio mist. I think ndio mist. Yani ni cloud. Na bado mko huku chini. So going to Elephant Peak, the ndege imekuwa spotted hapo Elephant Hill Peak. Huko juu unaona hiyo picha. Hapo ndio tunaelekea hapo juu. Ni mbali 3,600 feet above sea level. But unajua unajua ukipanda mlima hauendangi ati unaenda hivi. Ni huko. So normally people hikers take 6 hours kutembea. Sasa sisi hatujui hiyo information, tunafuata tu, tunasonga, tunafika mahali, tunapumua. I remember that time when I did my PTC, this is what we call piece to camera. Listen to what I said. It's been 6 hours since we started ascending the Aberdare mountains. Some people are tired, yes, and even KDF soldiers are tired, but they are soldiering on. We have to find the wreckage. So I remember guys said, some guys said, how can wanajeshi choka? My friend, 6 hours missed nini, kulikuwa kunateleza, unapita kwa matope. So unataka kusema kwani wanajeshi si mtu. The army learn how to endure. But getting tired is every human being gets tired. Because ni nyama na mifupa na nini, una get tired. But them they endure. So what the KDF guys were doing, they were also with us. Watu hatuna training, watu tuko na vitambi kama hii yangu. So tunafika pale, naambiwa tunafika pale tunasema tumechoka, tunatulia. Tunaamuka.
Yan kichari go.
But there was another team apparently that had already left. Lakini tulikuwa na hawa jamaa wanaitwa residents wa Njambini. Hivi. Actually, that getting to the top of the peak, what really helped us were these residents of Njambini. They will tell us, skuma kidogo. I remember there was a time nilikuwa nimechoka. Ndio nilikuwa na zile gumboots kubwa. Gumboots zingine ndio maana manuar. Zile kubwa kabisa. So, jamaa mwingine nimefika mahali nimechoka. I was about to give up. You know, many journalists had crumpled on the way. Many. They had returned. Many from other TV stations. Tulikuwa tumebangi watu wangapi? Mimi, Robert Masai, Moses Mwakisha. Unaona kamera Moses Mwakisha amebeba? Hebu iangalie vizuri. Hiyo kamera battery peke yake ni 1.5 kg. Hiyo ni battery peke yake, ujongelea kamera na huyu jamaa amebeba na bado anapanda, lakini unaona mwili yake ni ndogo, si kama yangu. Tukasonga. Sasa nilikuwa nakwambia other journalists walikuwa wamebaki. So nimebaki mimi, Mwakisha, Robert Masai, there was Eric, not Eric. There was this friend Matara from K24 and his cameraman. So 5 journalists peke yao ndio tumebaki bwana. Sasa tukicollapse, hauna journalists anafika huko juu. Na tukasema hiyo picha lazima tupate. Lazima tufike kule juu. So liwe liwalo. And I remember tukafika another corner. Sasa nilikuwa nimeeleza juu ya gumboots, eh? So hizo gumboots zangu nimechoka, I was almost giving up. Like magoti ilikuwa imeisha. Hii magoti hii ilikuwa imeisha. Then I remember there's a resident Kanjambini. Kulikuwa na kadhaa wenye tulikuwa tunatembea nao in our group. So he told me your problem are the gumboots. They're very heavy. Your gumboots ni kilos unabeba. I remember sasa when you lift like this, you are using a lot of energy to lift your gumboots. So that guy was kind enough. I don't remember his name. But mahali, if he happens to watch this episode here, mtu amwambie ama akiona ajue I really appreciate him, because I was almost giving up. Lakini akatoa gumboots zake very light, the thin ones, light ones, akatoa akanipatia, na yeye akavaa zangu, akasema yeye amezoea kwenda kule juu, yeye upeleka wa hikers, so he's used to. Akanipatia, nikavaa zake, then I became light. Haki ya Mungu, tukapress. Sasa kuna mahali kuna mahali tukafika, jamaa ka sport ndio mnaitanga sasa dang, najua ya ng'ombe inaitwa cow dung. Sasa sijui kama inaitwa elephant dung. Akasport, akasema hii ni fresh, it means elephants are around here. Sasa you know elephants are different, depending on the environment. They react differently to the environment. I have never interacted with elephants from the Aberdare. I know the elephants from Savo, for example, they are very hostile because of the poaching that happened. And remember, elephants do not forget, and they pass the information to their young ones. So elephants wa Savo, they know anyone or something that walks with 2 legs, yani binadamu, is dangerous to them, need danger. So when they see you and you come close to them, they attack. Elephants from Amboseli are friendly, are better than when you look at the elephants. You can at least go close, because they haven't experienced poaching so much. So they are friendly. You know, Masai is a conservationist because of pastoralism. They don't kill elephants. They actually live with elephants. When you go to Amboseli, you will see that during the night, elephants shifts from the park to the community. They go and sleep with the community. You know, elephant doesn't sleep down like human beings, so they just stand overnight, because there is a fear that when he sleeps, he might not wake up. So most of the times, big elephants, or let me say adult elephants, they don't sleep on their bellies, or they must, if they have to sleep, they look for an area that looks slopey. So they place themselves on the slopey part, so that when they wake up, it's easy just to turn themselves like this and they wake up. An interesting fact about elephants, right? Now, Sasa tuko pale. Yawa anatuonyesha hii inamaanisha elephants wakati. Wacha kutenzi nayo. Kutenzi nayo, lakini nikasema tuende. Tukasonga, all of a sudden we hear. Look at it. The crash site. The look of it only sent shivers down my spine because you could see what really happened. You didn't need someone to show you or tell you what really happened in that peak, because there was a valley and there was this rock. You can see it. This rock that was going like a little bit steepy up like this. And when you can see from here, it was like the plane or the nose of the plane just hit the rock like this, and it came down into the ditch. It fell into the ditch. So from the understanding from the picture and what I saw without going into investigations is that when the pilot, when she was in the Aberdare, because of the mist, and I'm telling you, it was cloudy. It was like a cloud. Actually, the mist was like a cloud. So from my thinking is that she lost focus, and when she thought she had maneuvered, she decided to go only to hit the rock and came down. Because I told you, if someone goes just a few, not even many meters, like 1 or 2, you can't see him. Like totally, you can't see him. So you can imagine if the plane is in the ditch and you are coming up so that you can go again, and you have no clue of the terrain. From now investigations, what we understood is that when they were rerouting the plane, the pilot clearly said that she was not conversant with the route, which is Kitale, Aberdare, Ruiru, Utawala route. So she had no clue of what was ahead of her. And from where I sit is that whoever was guiding her led her into her death and the death of the crew and the passengers. Now, let's go a little bit on the investigation and what they said. So the pilot was flying from Kitale. The plane was flying from Kitale airstrip, headed for Wilson. Then they experienced turbulence. From what the investigations revealed, there was a lot of turbulence in the area, and the route, the Ngong route was deemed unsafe. So the plane was rerouted to the Aberdare. And the pilot informed the one in the control, the person who was on the control, that she was not conversant with the Aberdare, Ruiru, Utawala route. But the controller insisted that he will stay with her all through the journey from where she was to the airport. But a few minutes after the conversation, the controller lost her. The plane went off the radar. So there was no conversation, there was no communication. So the person in the control tower did not even understand what had just happened. Now, the pilot was on her own in a valley that is misty, in a valley that is rocky, in a valley that you can't see far. And here, there's no one to guide her through. So in all essence, Captain Barbara Wangeshi and co-pilot or officer Jane Mreithi were left on their own. They were there to either maneuver themselves out of the ditch or be trapped into it. And what really happened, because of the mist, they fell, they crashed. And that was the end of the journey for them and the 8 passengers that were on board. Now, this peak here, from all the research I've done, is that sunlight is a rare thing here, it's a rarity. They say that it appears for a short while And then within a few minutes or just an hour or so, it becomes cloudy. The mist takes over and it becomes so cloudy that you can't see. And that is what we experienced the whole day. Remember, we took 6 hours. Actually, hey, I'm telling you, not 6 hours. We took 7 hours because the actual trip for hikers takes 6 hours. We took 7 hours to walk from Jambini or climb from Jambini to Elephant Hills Peak, one of the highest points of the Aberdares. Remember, there are 3. So this is just one of the highest points of the Aberdares. It's the third or second, around there. So we are there now scanning. As a journalist, you need to observe, because some of the answers that you're looking for, you will just be able to see them. So we saw the crash, the wings that were stuck in some kind of a shrub. We saw how the nose of the plane had hit a rock. It hit a rock before it fell into the ditch. And the remains, we saw shoes and everything. It was very sad. It was very sad to be there. Actually, going there, we really wanted to tell the story, but I felt so sad. But what made me sad is a guy tried to take, I remember, some photos of the pilot and the co-pilot in the, they had already been arranged in body bags. So there's a guy, after they opened, because they opened for some of us, but when they opened, the recovery team opened one of the body bags which had the captain. There's a guy who removed the phone and wanted to film. I don't know, out of anger, I don't know. I slapped him. Then I asked him, what if she was your sister? Why are you taking her photo? It's bad. Would you love people to see such a photo of your sister if she was your sister? Yeah? I was so angry. I remember even one of the KDF officers approached me and he told me, you've done a good thing. Yeah. But I was still having anger, because these are lives lost like that. Our lives lost like that. And their families, they are children of a family, children belonging to a family, or they were fathers, they were mothers. Yeah, they are people who belong to a family. And that made me angry. And remember, we didn't stand there for long, because some of us were going to file stories. Remember? Matara, myself, Masai. Remember, Moses Mwakisha is carrying that big camera, and now we have to descend. He's carrying not just the camera, he's carrying the material, the news material that we have. And most of the TV stations, radio stations did not manage, or their people did not manage to hit the peak. So it's more like it's only us who have the material. Everyone was waiting for what we had. And up there's no internet, so you can't say, I will pump then start going down. So you have to go down. And I remember they had told me, you are the one who is going to do the story. So as we started climbing down, I started writing the script in my head. But the tricky part was, that place was slippery. Now you're going down the drain. There is a lot of trees. There was a section of the bamboo trees. Now I'll tell you how we were moving and how we managed to move. Within 4 hours, we were down yeah? where they had set the recovery center and everything like that. We used 4 hours. Remember, we went with 7. Okay, climbing is always harder. But what made it easier for us to go down, and we were showed by the residents of Jambini how to climb down when it's slippery. So what we'll do, we had gumboots and everything. So I put, the live view I had, the live machine I had, when we were going up, I had it on my back. But I turned it down, placed it on my chest, because I was going to use my back to climb down. Now, this is what we are doing. Unaitwa kuteleza. unajitelezesha. How many of you have done that thing ya watoto huko ushago, ile unaweka ndizi ama unaenda tu uko tu hauna nguo, alafu unajirusha, mumemwaga maji ama matope kwa mteremko kwa hill, alafu mnateremka. Now that is what we are doing. Sasa tuko mwakisha kona hiyo kamera. Hii kamera si ya shilingi 2. Hiyo kamera amebeba ni millions of shillings. Na siwezi muacha kwa sababu yeye amebeba material yenye nahitaji. So ulikuwa na time unaangalia miti ndio hii, bambu, aka ndio kabarabara ka route. So unajua routes sasa za place kama hizo si straight, unapata kona. So what you will do, ukiona place straight kidogo unajiachilia uteremuke. So unajua na gumboots na nini uteleze. Alafu umengoja, umeona ile bambu ile ndio kwa sababu ukiendelea utaendelea na unaweza jigonga uvunjike. So lazima upime. First of all, there is a bamboo there. Ni kanono kazuri. Hiyo ndio inaenda kushikilia. Alafu unajiachilia. Kamata. Ukae hapo upumue kwanza tena. Tena utai mwingine. Another bamboo. Ushikilie. Sasa tulienda hivyo just doing until we did the bamboo section and it was long. Watu walikuwa wanaanguka, my friend. Wale wana miss. Mtu ana miss, anagonga mwingine. Because you remember we were many. We were not just at Mimi, Mwakisha and the rest. We had Njambini residents, many of them. And remember, we also had the recovery team. We had from Red Cross and everything. And we had the Kenya Defence Forces, the disaster team from the Kenya Defence Forces. So it was a whole, and watu walikuwa hapa na wengine pale. So you know, kubeba the body bags, the residents of Njambini, they are the ones who bebad. Those guys wanatembea ni kama hata hawajafanya kitu. Ni kama mtu ameamuka tu saa hiyo, ni kama ako fresh. In that mist, unajua hiyo weather, because the body now has to produce a lot of energy to keep yourself warm. You get tired very fast, I think, or something like that. Yeah, we are moving by, I think, 6 something. Tulikuwa chini. Then now it's time to process news.